Hello, everyone. I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the forthcoming lecture series, which we called Spiritual Food for BD Farmers and also for gardeners and really anybody else who's interested in the spiritual context behind farming, gardening, and nature. Why does biodynamic food taste better than commercially grown food? Well, you could say that's because biodynamic methods take account of life forces and the movement of the moon and the stars and so on. And all that is very true, but it doesn't really give us much of an idea, for example, what's behind in the making of the fertilizer 500, which is a very, very unusual practice. You could ask yourself, what kind of knowledge of nature would Steiner have had to come up with such a method whereby you put cow manure into cow horns, you bury them during the winter months over the solstice, and then you dig them up again, and then the manure is no longer manure, it's really become a colloid, humus type substance. You can touch it, your fingers don't get dirty, and it has a beautiful earthy smell. And that's about all you can pick up with your physical senses. What you don't pick up with your physical senses is that this little bundle of earth is now a catalyst for life. And how would Steiner have come up with the next step, which is you take a little bit of that bundle of earth, put it in a bucket of water, and then you stir the bucket clockwise and anti-clockwise, alternating for a whole hour. And then after you've potentized the water like that, you can spray it on the fields. And we know, and farmers know, that it has a remarkable effect. It makes the roots of the plants grow much deeper. The plants are more vigorous, more resistant to drought and pests, and so on. We love the food, and the cows love it as well. So you could say, well, if it works, why do we need to know more about it? And that's fair enough. But then if we're a little bit more curious, we could ask ourselves the question, well, why does it work? What's behind it all? Or we could ask, again, what kind of knowledge of nature would Steiner have had to come up with such a method? And it seems Steiner knew about a lot of things in a lot of areas. We know he wasn't a farmer, he wasn't a gardener, and then he had knowledge in many, many other specialist branches, even though he never worked in these fields. I'd like to read you a brief quote from a student of Steiner's that'll show you what I mean. This is from Ernst Leers. This conversation with Rudolf Steiner took place in a large hall where, while we were talking, over 1,000 people were assembling to discuss matters of concern to the anthroposophical movement. This did not prevent him from asking me about my examination work, in which I was still engaged at the time. He always gave himself fully to whatever claimed his attention at the moment. I told him of my experimental researches in electrical high-frequency phenomena, briefly introducing the particular problem with which I was occupied. I took it for granted that the question from such a specialized branch of physics would not be of much interest to him. Judge my astonishment when at once he took out of his pocket a notebook and a huge carpenter's pencil, made a sketch, and proceeded to speak of the problem as one fully conversant with it, and in such a way that he gave me the starting point for an entirely new conception of electricity. See, that's the astounding thing about Rudolf Steiner. And he could have only have had such an impact on so many practical spheres of life, agriculture, education, medicine, architecture, the arts, and so on, only on the basis of the fact that here was this rare individual that was equally at home in the physical side of reality and in the spiritual side of reality. And because he was equally at home in both, he could build the bridges between the two. See? And so the point I'm coming to is that in this lecture series, we're going to have a look at what is the spiritual research that enabled Steiner to have such deep insights into nature, into how we grow food, and so on. The connections really between the spiritual universe and the physical world. And if you're interested to explore this subject as a context within which really the biodynamic method works, I invite you to participate in the forthcoming lecture series. There'll be 4 lectures and a 5th one with Q&A. And we've decided the first lecture is complimentary, so you can tune in the first one to check it out. And if you'd like to join us, I look forward to seeing you there. Bye-bye.